Welcome to video number 6 in discussing evil in our time. We really want to look at evil and what evil is. Now, I'm going to use an extreme to make a point. Now, Jesus' ministry was an extreme. It was the highest good of humanity, the Lord among us. And that was a very high point in the history of humanity. Now, here is an extremely low point in the history of humanity. In the Old Testament, they were told in Kings not to let their children pass through the fires of Molech. And if you look into this false god, I have a picture of it here, and you can see that it's a large bull, and it's got 7 compartments in its stomach. Now the arms work on hinges with chains held from behind the god, the false god. And they would pull the chains and it would draw the arms together to cradle against the abdomen, like a mother cradles a child. Now, when they sacrificed to this false god, the description is so perversely pagan, it just makes you sick to your stomach to hear of it. Now, the culture that worshipped this false god, they were well known for their lesbianism and sodomy, very prominent in their culture, and they were idolatrous people. They were just sick, perverse people, and they had fear of being attacked, and they decided it was time to worship Moloch. So they dragged this towering statue out into the center of the community, and they had to take down part of the wall to get it through, and it towered above the wall. This thing is enormous. And they started a fire. Now it describes the people in this community as they're getting ready to worship this god. Some are drinking some opiate, and they're crawling around on the ground growling like lions. Others are dressed very richly and extravagantly, and they're marked with all kinds of arcane markings, and they have scepters with emeralds on the tops of them. Wealth, opulence, dignity, arrogance. Then the incense is burned in such profound quantities that it's actually affecting people's perception of reality. It's just simply oxygen deprivation is causing this drugged state. So they light the fire, and they begin, when the statue begins to glow red with the heat, they begin filling the compartments, the top one with grain, turtle doves in the next one, a ape in the third one, and then on and on, a goat, a cow, and the last one is special. The last one is reserved for children. They pulled the arms of the god together, and now when the priests of Baal really get whipped up and frenzied in the flesh, they begin to cut themselves, and the blood begins to flow, and there's this pagan sense of just a carnal free-for-all. And in this heightened state of depravity, they begin to throw children into the arms of Moloch. The glowing red bronze arms and the small bodies just sizzle and fall apart. And it's just horrific. And these people are beating their children into submission and throwing them into the arms of the priests of Baal, who in turn throw them into the altar, throw them into this false god where they're destroyed. And even chains, heavy chains, are put over top of the children so they can't wriggle off the altar. But the sizzling of their flesh and the dripping of their fat into the coals is heard, and people are whipped up into this wicked frenzy. Now this is very disturbing to listen to, and believe me, just reading about it sickened me. I still feel nauseous speaking about it. But you need to understand the profane, the absolute disgusting nature of evil. This is Satan. As in the last video I was showing you a glimpse into the nature of God, this is the nature of Satan. the lust for the death of innocence, the lust for this carnal frenzy of flesh, the sickness, the perversity that he thrives on, and that is his worship. You know, trying to get homosexuality accepted into the church is like trying to welcome Baal into the house of God. And that's the point we're at in our culture today, where we can try and put Baal into the house of God as if it's no big deal. Folks, there should be a righteous indignation within us that rises up, that we would voice for God. How dare you? How dare you step on holy ground with such perversion? There needs to be righteous indignation. Now, homosexuality, sodomy, lesbianism, these things were all practiced and are being practiced now in the modern world. Child sacrifice thrown into the arms of Baal was being practiced then. Child sacrifice is being practiced even more now. They only did one day of throwing their children into the arms of Baal. Every day, more and more are fed to Baal in abortion clinics. We are living in such a pagan, carnal, frenzied state. We should be terrified at the world around us, horrified, and we should readily know that God's heart is grieved and filled with pain at the sacrifices to Baal that are taking place all around us today, brothers and sisters. It is time that we just get on our knees and repent with weeping, because the Lord's heart is filled with pain, that the worship of Baal is being done all around us. There is a frenzied state of worship to the Baals. We need to just seek God and press in and stand fast, because the wrath of God cannot be held back from this. Jesus, Lord, I pray that each one of us would find that place in God's arms and hold fast, because the wrath of God is coming.